Hey y'all, Jessica Baumgardner here. Today I wanted to kind of tell you a little bit about my story and how I became a coach and why the heck I ended up in Charlotte, North Carolina, and just all of those things. Because I get a lot of people that ask me, why'd you move to Charlotte, Jessica? Why'd you pick that city? I don't think a lot of people also know my story about how I was only doing coaching just kind of as a hobby before. And then I was able to quit my full time job. Sorry if you hear my phone over there vibrating, just pretend that didn't happen. But I was able to quit my full time job back in April to pursue just coaching. So I'll kind of explain all of that to you. So let's see, I'll tell you about how I started as a coach first. Um, in May of last year was when I finally decided to become a coach, and I found out about Beachbody coaching from my friend Lindsay, and she actually worked with me at South University, which is where I was working as the director of housing and residence life. And I had been thinking about it for a couple of months and just wasn't really sure if I had the time to do it. But then I talked to Lindsay a little bit more and realized that I could really spend as little or as much time with it as I wanted. And I was really looking for something to feel more fulfilled because at my job at the college, I'm blessed that I was able to get a job right out of college and, right out after graduating. It was a good job, but it wasn't what I loved anymore. I didn't feel fulfilled doing it. So I was looking for something where I could help people that would make me feel good about myself. And Beachbody coaching really was interesting to me because I was overweight for half my life and was able to lose 60 pounds. So I just kind of had, I'm going to lean forward and fix my laptop 1 second. I wanted to kind of pay it forward and help other women do what I did because when I lost weight, it really transformed my whole life. I was depressed. I was a dark, evil person before that would curse out my friends, my family members. I was rebellious. I was just not in a good place mentally, spiritually. So after I lost weight, God really came into my life and helped change my spirit and helped change me mentally so that I was able to overcome a lot of things. So, anyway, I became a coach in May, and then I really didn't do a whole lot with it until I would say October of last year. Then I really started becoming focused and committed, and I just had a total brain fart. Sorry, that's what happens when you're doing these videos. I was just going on. Oh, okay. So I got really focused in October, and I would say that I spent, like an hour to 30 minutes a day because I did have a full-time job. Some weeks were so crazy that I was working 80 hours a week. So I spent as much time on it as I could, but I was fully dedicated and committed to it. After going through this, stage where I thought I was supposed to become a missionary and move to Poland and all this stuff, I went on a mission trip last year. That's why I was feeling that way. But I really felt like this was really what God wanted me to do with my life. It was my form of ministry, and I was ready to do everything that I could to give it my best. So in October, I became committed, and I started working on myself, a lot of personal development. And in January, I started going to different conferences to help myself become a better person and to help me be the best for my business so that I could be the best for my team and for my clients. So anyway, I would say, I think it was, I'm moving my computer again, sorry. In March, in March was when I started really getting serious about wanting to quit my job, but I've been thinking about it for a long time because I had known that with Beachbody, you can make your own schedule, you can work whenever you want, from wherever you want, and it would just give me the life that I had always been wishing for. Because at my full-time job, I really, like I said, felt unfulfilled. I worked so much, I barely even had time to see my family, who only lived an hour away in South Carolina. I was in Savannah, Georgia at the time. And I didn't have time for anything. So being a coach gave me the flexibility to not have to work full-time hours. I work 15 to 20 hours a week now. That's considered full-time with Beachbody. So that's a blessing. And I now have the time to spend with my family and friends and do the things I want, go on mission trips, do more things with the church and all of those things. So anyway, sometimes when I explain stuff, I kind of go over here and over there, so just deal with me if you don't mind. And in March, I really started praying about it a lot and just asked God to please help me to be able to get my business where I needed it to be if this was really His calling for me and what He wanted me to do. So I think God is probably laughing at me now because I never believed in myself enough to be able to make it happen. I saw so many other coaches that were out there quitting their full-time jobs, but never did I think it would be me. And then God basically just proved me wrong, and my income increased, and I quit my full-time job in April. So when I quit, I moved back to South Carolina, and that's where I'm originally from. The reason I moved was because since I was the director of housing and residence life, I lived in an apartment that belonged to the university. So of course, when I quit, again moving my computer, sorry, when I quit I wasn't able to live there anymore. And I wasn't quite sure where I wanted to live. So I went back home with my parents temporarily until I figured it out. And honestly, I had to get over myself and my ego because I really didn't want to go back home. And it has nothing to do with my parents, but just from the really rough past that I had in my childhood and, just growing up being made fun of, I really didn't want to go back there, to all those old memories. I mean, a lot of things happened when I was there. Got married at 19, got divorced at 20. So it was a lot of, things that I just didn't want to have to think about anymore. So I moved back in April. Didn't really have a lot of friends there because everyone I used to be friends with in college, they still do the whole partying thing, and I'm just totally over that now and have a different lifestyle. So honestly, it was a struggle mentally being back there. And I just have to thank God so much for getting me through that and helping my business to thrive even more. When I was in such a bad place emotionally and mentally, I kind of felt like I was being sucked into a black hole being back there again. Kind of took all the motivation out of me. I basically every day had to just give myself pep talks and do what I could, in order to get through. So anyway, I then was led to Charlotte by God. Had a friend that I met back in 2009 that lived up here, and we actually met at the college that I used to work at. And I had always I'd visited Charlotte a couple times and was like, wow, this is a really awesome place. I totally want to live there someday. Never really thought it would actually happen. So I visited her after quitting my job because it was one of the places I was thinking about moving. And then God was like, oh, Jessica, I was even thinking about looking at apartments when I came to visit her, but apparently God had other plans. So my friend took me to look at a few apartment complexes, and I would say I probably looked at 10. And the very first place I went, which is where I am right now, I fell in love with the leasing consultant. She was such an amazing person, made me feel so welcome. Didn't really know when I wanted to move, and I just shot out August as an idea. And she told me, oh, well, great news. If you move in August, you'll actually get 2 months of rent for free. So I was like, ooh, hello, I'm going to do that. So I moved in August 1st last week, and I really just feel like, God led me to Charlotte because I would have never even planned on coming to look at this apartment when I was here. My friend suggested it. And it has everything that I love here. The city does. It supports my healthy lifestyle. There's tons of restaurants that have healthy food. Trader Joe's, my favorite place ever to shop, which I didn't have before. We have that here. I can walk anywhere that I want. My apartment is in Uptown, towards the south end of Uptown. So I'm actually right across from the Panther Stadium. I can walk to Elevation Church, which you guys hear me talk about all the time. It's absolutely amazing. Went there on Sunday when my parents were here helping me move. They joined me. And it's just overall such an amazing city. And I know that I'm meant to be here, and God is going to do some amazing things here. And I've been talking for over 9 minutes. Didn't plan on it to be that long. So I could go on and on about how amazing Charlotte is and how good God is. But I won't. So if you're still listening, thank you for listening to all of that. But that's just a little bit about my story and how God really can change things really quickly in your life if you just let go and let God, like I always say. So, hope that encourages somebody, and thanks for listening. Bye, y'all.